Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Minister Aryeh, and coming up in today's newscast, Interior Minister Aryeh Deri barred from office by the High Court. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan arrives in Israel for high-level talks. And finally, a taste of the Holy Land's finest expert with ILTV's Wine of the Week. We open with politics, and the dramatic ruling in the High Court struck down Shas leader Aryeh Deri's cabinet appointments in the new government. Within 90 minutes of the court ruling, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited Deri in his home to discuss the next moves forward. ILTV's Steve Leibovitz reports.
The High Court ruling was emphatic, with 10 judges in favor and 1 dissenting. The judges ruled that due to multiple convictions on corruption charges, it is unreasonable in the extreme that Shas leader Aryeh Deri serve as minister in the new government that he formed only weeks ago with Prime Minister Netanyahu. Netanyahu and Deri indicated there is no choice but to honor the ruling.
There are judges in Jerusalem and they have said the word. We have to understand that whatever Supreme Court states is the law in Israel, and Aryeh Deri, Benjamin Netanyahu, or every other party has to react, has to say yes to whatever the court has said.
Former Prime Minister Lapid sounded a dire warning.
אם אריה דרעי לא יפוטר, ישראל תיקלע למשבר חוקתי חסר תקדים, והיא כבר לא תהיה דמוקרטיה ולא תהיה מדינת חוק.
Fearful for his coalition, Netanyahu rushed to Deri's Jerusalem home to discuss the next steps moving forward. Deri serves as Interior and Health Minister as well as Deputy Prime Minister. According to the ruling, Netanyahu must fire him or get Deri to resign. Deri is expected to remain deeply involved as a Knesset member and coalition leader. Justice Minister Yariv Levin of Likud, who is leading controversial efforts to dramatically reform the court system, called the Deri ruling absurd. Levin claimed it annulled the votes of nearly 400,000 Shas voters and the will of the majority of voters who voted for a government led by Netanyahu in which Deri would be a senior partner. Others in Likud agreed.
מבחינתי יום אבל שבו בית משפט עליון מתערב בחקיקה של חוק יסוד. בית משפט עליון חוצה כל גבול כשהוא מתערב בחוק שעבר ברוב של 63 אנשים שמבטא את החלטת הרוב.
Moving forward, Netanyahu's coalition can remain intact if the Prime Minister manages to appease Deri while technically firing him. They would remain political allies leading the coalition. Now they would be expected to place court reform even higher on the government's agenda.
And now, with more on Minister Deri being barred from office by the High Court, Israeli journalist, attorney, and author Ben-Dror Yemini. Ben-Dror, so first of all, Deri has been ordered to resign or be fired. What will the government do now?
I guess the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is going to fire him because, even those who are highly criticize the Supreme Court, they will not disobey to the ruling of the court. So probably it will take 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, but it will happen quite soon.
And government leaders immediately vowing to try and get around the decision before it's enforced. What can the coalition do, and do they have enough time to do it?
No, they don't have many options. Politically, it's becoming quite interesting because this is the first check of this coalition. So it's going to be very interesting. I mean, how will Shas party, how they will continue in this coalition? It's not clear yet. They do not have any other option. We have to bear it in mind.
That's indeed a really interesting question. Now, if attempts to get around the court decision fail, and Deri is definitely barred from being a minister, what happens really to Shas and the organization of the coalition? Is that already known or to be debated?
I mean, Netanyahu will do whatever he can, and he can do a lot in order to implement all the coalition agreements with Shas, which means that they will get their budget, they will get money for their yeshivas, everything will be just the same, and they even might get more because of what happened yesterday, because of the ruling of the Supreme Court. So they will not have reasons to complain. And anyway, they are not going to leave the coalition. They will not do it, not to themselves and not to Benjamin Netanyahu. Right now, they can only stay in the coalition. So in that respect, Netanyahu can be quite satisfied that even after the ruling that he does not like, the coalition is not going to fall apart.
And we know that Netanyahu went visiting Deri right after. Do we know anything that happened right there? Anything he said to him? Anything they spoke about?
No, we don't really know. We can just guess, and we can hear the people who speak with Aryeh Deri and the people who speak with Netanyahu. I mean, this is a kind of meeting just in order to say, well, you know, we are together, we are in the same boat, and that kind of stuff. But nothing really is going to happen, not for the moment anyway, to the coalition.
Now, as an attorney and a journalist, you've been an outspoken critic against the High Court's activity behavior. Do you think that the decision against Deri was a political one, or fair, actually?
No, it was not political. I mean, yesterday afternoon, I buzzed to read all the 190 pages of the verdict. Look, I don't like this kind of what we call in Israel Ilchat HaSvirut, which means reasonability of the decisions of government, of officials. I don't like it. But in this ruling, they had some other reasons in order to disqualify Aryeh Deri from being a minister. So yes, I am, generally speaking, a critic of the Supreme Court and of the activism. Sometimes it's even a political activism. But in this case, I cannot really criticize the ruling. No, not in this case.
And I assume most people at home are asking, how will this affect Deri's political future? This decision, everything that's happening right now.
Well, I mean, he's not enjoying. I mean, I guess that he had a kind of hope that because of the whole big dispute about the judicial system, that maybe they will restrain themselves. It did not happen, but it was expected. The ruling is not a big surprise, not for him, not for anybody. I mean, it was clear, and in the last 3-4 days, everyone could guess that this is going to be the ruling. He is going to stay the leader of Shas party, but he's not going to be minister. I mean, it was how long will it hold? For how long is he going to be barred from being a minister? This is not clear yet. I mean, it was not even written in the ruling, so we do not know. So we have to wait and see. But everything can be, we are speaking about Israel and the Israeli coalition, and generally speaking, things might happen. We don't know what, we don't know when, but things might happen. For the moment, the coalition is stable. Netanyahu should not worry about any kind of collapse of the coalition, not for the moment.
Shas is not going to give up on him so quickly. Ben-Dror Yemini, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yet another busy night and morning for Israeli security forces as a terror attack prevented and several armed terror suspects killed. Israeli police arresting 2 Palestinians in the central Israeli city of Netanya Thursday morning on suspicion they were about to carry out a terror attack. Israeli forces launching a manhunt for the suspects on a tip that they had entered illegally from the West Bank. And when they were finally found by the city's open-air market, one of the suspects discovered in possession of a knife. Meantime, earlier on Thursday, 2 armed terrorists were shot and killed and others wounded during security operations in the Palestinian city of Jenin. The clash is coming as the IDF arresting its senior Islamic Jihad terror group leader and 2 of his sons, but coming under fire from other militants during the arrest. The IDF returning fire then killing 2, allegedly